Hello and welcome to the 14th episode of Williams Whiteboard. First, I'd like to take a quick opportunity just to say thank you to all of you that have come by, watched the videos, liked, shared, commented, and provided feedback on the topics. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. So on this episode, we're going to talk about requirements success. Okay, the concept of requirements success and what's necessary for requirement success. So first, let's get one definition right out of the way for those of you that may not be nerding out on government acquisition. So requirements are simply the way program offices or requirements owners, mission owners, define and document their needs. Whether they are goods or services, they have a responsibility to identify and in writing, okay, so that those requirements can go out into the marketplace, be competed against, and contracted for. So they have a requirement to document their requirements. And it's simply the needs, the goods and services, the demand signals they have in order to execute the mission. Okay, so I had a client this week reached out to me and said, one, I got a new job. I was like, wow, congratulations. So two, the job is in a new program office. So the program office has a responsibility for requirements definition. And he's going to be a project officer in charge of a line of business, a line of mission. And it has, as a result of that, has a responsibility for requirements success. Okay, defining and documenting requirements success. One of the things I heard early in my career is that the requirements definition is the hardest part of the acquisition process. And now that I've lived a few years in the community, I tend to agree. It's very challenging, but it doesn't have to be. So I had a couple of days to think about the question before we had our engagement call. And I came up with 4 topics, 4 things, 4 actions that I think any program office, any project officer, any program officer going into a new organization to help ensure requirement success. I think here are 4 things that I think can help. So let's talk about them. These are requirements success. These are topics. Okay? So the first one, right out of the gate. There's a concept in social media and marketing and branding on social media that talks about documenting over creating, okay? And it is the concept simply of it's too hard and it takes too much time to create, okay? Especially in the cycles that social media happens. But it's so much easier just to document what's going on. People are interested in the process of everyday things. I think that concept can be applied to requirements definition. So the concept of documenting over creation. Okay? The concept of documenting the requirements, using user stories, using demonstrations, going and observing, having journey maps, process flows, all of those things that are aspects or strategies that can be used to identify, to observe, and write down what you see instead of having the process of and the arduous process of creating. You know, the concept of we've got to write down what we think we want. We should be going and documenting and observing what the demand signals are to be able to greater articulate the demand. So number 2, market intelligence over market research. Okay. So I know very well that there is a part of the FAR that talks about market research. The challenge with that is I feel that this has become an artifact, okay, something that it's a block check, it's a block that needs to be checked instead of being able to mine the intelligence to be able to ask better questions. Okay, the concept of moving market research that happens as a transactional event to something that is ongoing as in terms of being tapped into your market intelligence. I do believe if a program office has the ability to have market intelligence always on in some fashion, in lieu of it just being an artifact, it's an artifact for the contract file and a block to be checked. It moves from an artifact, a transaction, to something that happens ongoing. I think this concept of moving will help requirement success. Number 3, which may be the most controversial, put it on the clock. Okay. It is my observation over 25 years of experience that the acquisition lifecycle, everything from an idea to delivery of goods and services, I would say 80 to 90% of that is time bound. Okay. It happens, it has a time, it takes a process, it has a time associated with it, all of it except the requirements definitions process. Okay. Very rarely, if ever, have I seen the process of identifying the requirements having time bound to it. I propose to you that there aren't many requirements on the planet that can't be identified and documented. Again, if we're doing documentation over creation and we're doing ongoing market intelligence over a market research or just putting a market research artifact in place, 30 days, 4 weeks, one should be able to identify and articulate what the needs are, goods and services, and identify that in such a fashion that it can have first contact with industry, 30 days. Put it on a clock, okay? Moreover, there's a concept in economics called the law of diminishing returns, meaning that for every one more day of activity or one more unit of activity, we have something less than 1 day, 1 unit of value. Okay, those don't match. Okay, so every day you add to the process, you get less than a day's worth of value. It's the point of diminishing returns. I think that applies to requirements definition as well. On the 75th day, I'm not sure that the 75th day is worth it. Moreover, that 75th day robs a day from the contracting side of the process. So if you can mark this down from 75 to 35, wow, you've just harvested 40 days that can be used as a catalyst of speed to market in the contracting side of the house. So the concept of putting the requirements on the clock, defining it, yes, it's artificial, okay, but we have a lot of artificial timelines in our lives. So put it on a clock and then hold people accountable for delivering. The days and effort harvested here, identified here, will be harvested downstream in the contracting in the award process. Number 4, okay, draft the draft. Okay. What do I mean by draft the draft? Okay, a lot of program offices and contracts organizations, teams, have in their processes the creation of draft requirements documents, okay? A RFP, a RFQ, a statement of work, a statement of objectives. They draft something, they draft a document that can then be presented to industry for comment. Here's the challenge. Because this draft has some time and oftentimes a lot of time and energy on it to get to some levels of maybe 75, 80, or 85% maturity, people aren't really interested in getting comments back. Okay? They're not interested. That thing has blood, sweat, and tears in it. That's a baby now. Okay? And now, to put that out into industry, you're calling my baby ugly. Okay? I'm suggesting that there is an opportunity to do a draft of the draft. Okay? And I'm not suggesting that it has to be some level of maturity in such a way that it looks like or feels like a requirements document. This could be a PowerPoint that's laying out, this is what we're thinking about. We'd like to have some comments. Okay. At this point, the draft of the draft, you may be interested in getting some actual feedback and then taking it. Okay? So think about that as a construct of building a draft of the draft so that you are willing, the team is willing to take comments. So here we are. Requirement success tips. Okay? There are 4 of them. I'd love to hear thoughts, comments, feedback. If anyone has a need or desire for me to dive into these more, give me a shout in the comments. Reach out. Throw me a note in the direct messaging. I'd love to do do some more thought on this and some more research. Thank you so very much for your time and for your attention. And remember, whenever you have a challenge and you need some way to figure it out, grab a whiteboard and some markers and get after it. Thank you so very, very much for your time. Be great, be kind, be awesome. Bye.